Up next we have Ellie Diaz for ATOOOR.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for coming out on this humid day. Thank you to Rodrigo and Bridget for putting this together and giving us a space to come together. Thank you Lilian for continuing to speak about things that have affected you directly. My name is Ellie Diaz. I am an organizer with the Alliance to Mobilize Our Resistance, which we call ATOOOR. Hey, y'all heard about ATOOOR? So it sounds like y'all might be familiar, but I'm going to talk a little bit about what ATOOOR does for folks that are not. So ATOOOR is an alliance of 6 grassroots organizations that is based in Rhode Island. And our work is to provide community-based services and support for folks that are impacted by the policies and the institutions that are turning their backs on people of color, on black folks, and on poor folks in particular. So we focus on folks that have been impacted by police violence, folks that need mental health support, folks that need services such as transportation or interpretation services. And a big chunk of our work, which is why we're all gathered here, I assume, is people that are affected by immigration cases. So after 2016, there was an influx and a surge of people that wanted support for their cases due to the hype and the fear that was being built up. And we created this network of resources and support for people that are being affected. ATOOOR only has 2 staff members, and then the rest is volunteer run and driven. And we emphasize the leadership and the voices of the people that are directly affected by the stuff we're seeking to end. So I just want to give a quick breakdown of what happens to people that are Rhode Island community members and are then detained, because I don't know if everyone is familiar with that, what happens in that process. A lot of Rhode Island community members, I would say all Rhode Island community members that are detained are taken away from Rhode Island because Rhode Island does not have a detention center that can hold Rhode Island residents. That means that family members and loved ones are forced to go visit them to places in Massachusetts and any different county that serves as a detention center, or New Hampshire, which is even further away. This creates an extreme burden for people to visit and continue to see their loved one and provide that moral support to keep going when people choose to keep their cases open. And the thing is that this has been happening for years, This is not new. This is not something that started in 2016. It's definitely gotten much, much worse, and it's much more present and in our faces. But this is something that's been happening for years. And we can go all the way back to give you a mini history lesson into the 90s when Mr. Bill Clinton signed an immigration reform that allowed counties, local law enforcement to serve as deputized immigration agents and are able now to serve as detention centers. So we have counties in Massachusetts being run by sheriffs who are extremely racist, who are deputizing their sheriffs to become ICE agents and are operating their prisons as detention centers. So this is nothing new. It's just something that's gotten completely worse due to the person that is currently serving as president. And because this has been happening for years, I want to ask y'all how far your compassion is willing to go to support everyone that's being affected by this. Because as someone from the Latinx community who comes from a mixed status family, I can feel what is happening. But I can let you know that ATOOOR has been serving folks that don't just come from Latin American countries. We have folks that are coming from African countries, particularly Liberia and Gambia. There's also a huge Southeast Asian deportation crisis that's happening right now and has really not gotten the coverage that it deserves because we have a pretty big Southeast Asian community here, particularly of Cambodians. So I do ask yourself, how far is your compassion willing to go is it just for kids and people, you know, that are being affected at the border? Because this is happening right here, right now, in your backyard. People are being taken from Rhode Island across state lines and being held there, far away from their families. So I do encourage y'all to pay attention to what's happening locally, to what's happening with our Liberian, with our Gambian, with our Cambodian communities here, to fight the anti-blackness, to fight the police violence that is affecting our Southeast Asian community. And I do encourage y'all to be able to plug into the work locally that is happening and offer up any kind of support that you think you can give. No skill set is too small for this kind of work. When it comes down to interpretation, if you speak Spanish, we need you. If you have a car and a few hours to give a week, we need you. If you are willing to sit down with someone and read over a form that details what is happening with their case, we need you. If you're willing to provide childcare, if you're willing to provide housing, if you're willing to provide anything that you think is too small, we need that, because we're trying to provide something, we're trying to create a network of services that is community created. Together we can provide the support that people need and stop focusing on asking institutions that continue to fail us year after year after year. So we're going to be passing around a sign-up sheet, and if you want to get involved, I do encourage y'all to put your name down, because I'm telling you, we need to come together for real to make sure that we don't know what's going to happen in 2020, but we need to be ready. And whether you think it's good or bad, the outcome that happens in 2020, we need to be prepared anyway, because we can't trust that they're going to save us. So please sign up. Please let me know if you want to get involved or if you want more information. There is definitely a struggle. There's definitely a place in the struggle for anyone and everyone. And let's never forget that our folks that are incarcerated and that folks with criminal records are the ones that are being detained and deported the most. And we need to offer them compassion and support as well. So thank you very much for being out here today.